Okay. Hi, hello. I have a head cold and I'm dying, so just a warning, my voice is going to sound a little bit stuffy if you haven't noticed. So recently I decided to remake my channel banner after about 5 years or more. I don't know, I'm too lazy to do math, and I figured now would be a great opportunity to touch on some of the unanswered questions relating to my clans, OCs, and lore, and the creative process behind them. I would love to see the brush setting that you use for making. I just adore the way that you do them, and it emulates the pattern of fur so well. The brush that I use is actually a really basic brush. I use Sai for the most part, and if you use Procreate, which is my secondary program, you can emulate this really well with just, a really basic flat brush. The brush I use is the default built-in pen brush on a lower opacity. That's it. What do you prefer, digital art or paper art? I definitely prefer digital art. I started off maybe the first 7 or 8 years of drawing on paper, and then I finally got a tablet, so yes, I'm biased. I really like how digital drawing is, how smooth it is, how easy it is to get the gradient and the colors I want. I don't have to think, and it's not messy, and it's not expensive because I don't have to continually buy art supplies, and then I have to go through paper. And yeah, so I prefer digital. That, and I can just carry my tablet everywhere, and I have an endless sketchbook that's never going to run out of pages. But there's absolutely nothing against traditional artists. It's where I started, and my heart still lies with drawing on paper, because when I'm having kind of a rough time coming up with ideas, I do kind of push my tablet aside. I push my poor little Wacom aside, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw on paper. I'm gonna draw in a sketchbook because it kind of resets my brain. So in a sense, I do like both. I just prefer digital art. Question, how do you keep motivation? In a lot of your recent videos, we get multiple beautiful and detailed cat drawings, but I lose motivation. And do you have tips to not lose motivation in a project or a long series of drawing? What is your go-to method to tackle or start a new project? And if you run out of ideas for your OCs or get art block, what do you do? Jokes aside, it's kind of the same answer to what I did before. I will reground myself. It's kind of the exact same answer as before, where I will remove myself from what's causing the stress or the block. Maybe it's working in the same medium for too long. I'll remove myself and I'll do something else. I will take a break. Taking breaks is very important to not get burnout. So if I'm doing one specific subject in one specific medium for multiple months at a time, and I start to feel the burnout coming on, that's where I'll take a break in the fan base and I'll just kind of remove myself. So again, if I'm working digitally, I'll remove myself digitally and I'll start working on paper. And if I have too much exposure to one type of media, for example, drawing cats nonstop, because that's just what I do, I remove myself from that and I start branching out and drawing other things. I'll draw other characters, other species. I'll, for once in a lifetime, try to draw a human. And if I'm stuck drawing just one type of thing, like a full body colored drawing, I'll swap and maybe just do some sketches. I don't know if that's helpful. That's just the thing I've come up with over the years. But to answer the last one specifically, when I run out of ideas for OCs, I stop trying to create them. Usually when I create OCs, I create the concept and the premise and a bit of the backstory, but mostly the personality and the name before I do the character. So I'll have this list, and as I'm going along, I'll start just developing the character to go along with it and match maybe physical description. And so when I just can't think of anything else for any more OCs, I just stop making them until it just comes to me. It'll eventually come to me. Again, like mentioned, I usually just swap species. I'll start drawing more into my sonas, or I'll start taking on commissions, maybe just to rework my brain, so I'm not focusing on just my own stuff. Because when you sit down and you focus on one thing for too long, you kind of become blind to all of the issues and flaws that it has. So your OCs might be either underdeveloped or overdeveloped, or you're focusing too long on them, so stepping back from them is a really good idea. Which character did you spend the most time designing, or which one did I create the most lore for? That would have to be Scorch Mist. Every time I was satisfied with her backstory and how things were going, or just her present story, I decided to just give her more trauma. Because in the PMV with the train, I'm literally only saying that because I don't know how to pronounce the word. and I'm too lazy to Google it. She was brown when when I made the tweening animation of her hanging off the cliff and Stonepaw overlooking what was going on. She was this brown cat because I did not develop her. I just made her look like her mother because her mother is a solid Havana brown cat. And the more I started building on her character, the more I started adding the flavoring, the trauma flavoring. I entirely reworked her whole design, so she's went through a lot of changes. She went from solid brown to a solid brown tabby to a black, gray, and white tabby to a Torby because I threw in the little orange spots. So yeah, Scorch Mist has got the most attention from, which leads into the question, in your lore, who is your baby or child? And yeah, that would be Scorch Mist. I can't personally relate to her because I have never fallen off of a cliff or gotten trapped by the Humane Society and TNR. But I've definitely spent the most time on her lore specifically. She was not intended to be the main character by any means. However, she has far more development. Her, Scorch Mist and Pebble Stream have the most development. And Stonefrost is supposed to be the main character, but he doesn't have nearly as much involvement and details written into his story as Scorch Mist has. And I've also kind of taken on Scorch Mist as a channel icon, because I'm indecisive and I can't decide on a persona. Are you ever going to write a book on your 4 main clans? I really would love, I would love to, I would like to. That is definitely on my list of things I would enjoy achieving in life, but I am a single human being, and yes, most of my clan lore is in my head. What you guys got with the Fog Clan videos and the voice claims is just like a small, maybe 25% of the whole overarching story. Will I ever write a book? No, that is not very likely, but I may do comics. If I ever have the motivation, once I'm out of school, which I'm graduating in May of 2023, so after that I should have enough time to just sit around and just test the waters and see if I can actually manage to do a comic, which I have managed to do 1 chapter of a comic of the remake of Love Never Lies, which will be its own separate video sometime in the future, but I don't see myself writing. I cannot sit down and focus on writing anymore. I used to be able to just pump out writing all the time when I was younger in middle school. I don't have the time, effort, or energy, but I might dabble in comic making, who knows. What is your favorite OC that you've ever made, and who is your favorite OC? Since I already answered that question in relation to who is my favorite Warriors OC, I'm gonna actually dabble a little bit into somebody way older than any of my Warriors OCs. My little spider demon dog boy Sushi. He has only briefly made a couple appearances on my channel in some really old animation memes and in the Turning My Sonas into Squishmallows video, and that's it. No one really knows much about him. But he's this little spider demon boy, and he's the absolute sweetest. He's this little guy that actually, funnily enough, he came to me in a dream when I was in high school. Not fully what he is, just the white dog. And so I kind of started drawing him in high school as a comfort character because he was silly, he didn't need to have meaning, he was alien-esque, and he ended up becoming a little spider dog demon. And recently I made a plush of him, so if the fact that I spent so many hours on a full plush of this character should indicate that he's probably my favorite and my comfort character. If you had to forget one of your OCs, who would it be and why? I don't want to forget any of my OCs because they are all individually my children. But so what is your favorite comfort media? As in what do you put on when you need to pick me up? I have 3 that I default to. Warriors, of course. I mean, it's not really a show, but when I'm kind of in a down mood, I start writing on my OCs, and it just always makes me feel better. The second thing is Pokemon. I pick up a Pokemon game, and I just completely ignore the world around me for the next 2 weeks while I play through one of the Pokemon games. And then the third is Bluey, because Bluey is the sweetest show, and if nobody knows about it, they should go watch it immediately. Alright, thank you for dealing with my voice and me dying, and hopefully this Q&A session wasn't too terribly bad.